Welcome to our Halloween episode! And that's all I'm doing with that.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. Really, how could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, a podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels and spin-offs to films that don't have any. I'm Harry, and joining me as always is John.
Hello.
And this week our esteemed guest, Mr. Paul Kelly.
Hello.
Hi Paul. You chose this film, The Witches. Why did you choose this film?
Well, I was given a brief that it's going to be Halloween. And I was asked if I wanted to choose any scary movies. And I tried to think what film really scared me as a child. And really, there's only two films that are really stuck with me as being freaking me out. And it was The Fly, but that's got a sequel. Mm-hmm. And it is a remake. And The Witches. So I braved it and watched The Witches again.
What makes you shudder about this film?
There's one bit when he's at the tree and the woman's going, I've got some chocolate, and no one can hear you scream. And that was as a 9-year-old. And it's kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm safe today from witches because of that very movie.
Hello, young man. What a magnificent treehouse. Did you build it yourself?
My dad and I did.
I've got something for you here. Something I think you'll like. Jump down and I'll show you.
No,
What?
no thank you very much.
It's worth a lot of money.
This is private property.
There's nothing to be frightened of. I just wanted to give you this. I found him on my walk. He's quite harmless. See? Little boys love snakes. Here, he's yours.
Grandma!
Look. I'll leave him here if you like. Then you can come down on your own and get him. But they wriggle away quite quickly. Unless you tell them not to.
Grandma!
Perhaps you'd like some chocolate instead.
Grandma!
She can't hear you.
Well, you've chosen very well, though, because you have turned our little Halloween season into a fabulous Witches trilogy. Because we've previously done The Witches of Eastwick and Hocus Pocus, and now this. So
Nice. 90s classics.
Mm-hmm.
All three.
Indeed.
It's good. It's a very interesting movie. I'm not sure if I've seen it before or if it's just initially so well adapted from the book that it's just exactly how I imagined it when I read it. Apart from, of course, how the ending is completely different.
Yeah.
I can't remember the ending of the book, so you might have to enlighten me.
The ending of the book, he doesn't get turned back into a boy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sort of chilling.
Right.
Because he asks his granny, how long do you think you're going to live? And she's like, oh,
2 years.
maybe 8 years if I'm lucky. And he said, oh, how long do mice normally live? And she was like, about 8 years. And he was like, oh, great, I guess I'll live for about the same amount of time then. And that's how the book ends.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. I mean, I've read the book as a child, but I must have just blocked out the trauma or something.
Yeah,
Also-
I never blocked it out. That's the main thing I remembered from it.
Also, Granny was lying. Mice live 2 to 3 years tops.
Yeah.
That boy is on borrowed time.
Oh.
But yeah, Roald Dahl books are famously very dark for children's books, which is one of the reasons I love them. But I agree, the ending of the book is, even by Roald Dahl standards, is super chilling, and the ending of the film, watching it back, I'd forgotten how they really tacked on the happy ending. And it's one of the most egregious examples I've ever seen of a studio obviously tacking on, like, that's too dark, we can't let that be the ending. Because it's so out of nowhere. It's such a, what's that phrase, Deus Ex Machina kind of thing? Because I remembered how the book ended, and so the film, it got to that point where he says, how long do mice live? I was like, wow, this film really is as dark as the book. They're really going there. They're acknowledging that he's got like a couple of years to live. And then, out of nowhere, Jane Horrocks turns up and turns him back into a human. And then, at the very last line of dialogue is, "Don't forget Bruno!" It's like, there's no loose ends are allowed whatsoever.
I imagine it was like test screenings and lots
definitely.
of crying children going, and they had to quickly, we cannot release this as it is, they had to quickly change it up.
Which is a shame, I think. Because I think children should be traumatised more often.
Did Roald Dahl write any sequels to this?
No, he didn't, actually.
No, it's
Okay.
not
He didn't.
really a sequels kind of guy, was
Yeah.
He did the Chocolate Factory.
The Glass Elevator, yeah.
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 That was the thing. Was one of the few that he did try to follow up to. On the whole, this is our first Roald Dahl adaptation, but
Yes.
we probably will do more because there's
many more.
There's so many more we could end up doing. Yeah. So, I mean, so you read the book as a child then?
Guess so.
Yeah. Did you read many Roald Dahl books as a child?
Yeah, I think I've read a few. The Twits, Time Chocolate Factory.
What was your favourite?
The Twits.
The Twits. Okay, that's an interesting one. That's kind of quite dark. Well, they're all quite dark, but it's not often people's favourite. People usually say Matilda or Charlie. What about the Twits appealed to you?
They just reminded me of my parents.
Wow, that's dark.
It's alright, they don't listen to this.
Yeah, because the Twits is like about this bleak mutual domestic abuse relationship, essentially. Like these people who hate each other.
He doesn't like parents, does he, Rob?
He loves to kill a parent. Yeah, he loves a bit of killing or making parents out to be evil monsters. Like is one or the other. Yeah, because that struck me about this, that the parents get killed very arbitrarily. It's like, oh, and they're dead now.
Or do they?
That's oh, okay.
So I noticed these parents go out for the evening, and then police come round and hand her a scarf, and it's just intimated. There's no actual direct thing saying your parents are dead.
Yeah,
They just might have just lost their scarf and have gone on holiday.
Well, this leads to something else I felt about this film, which is that I felt like the grandma was quite a sinister figure.
Yeah.
Really sinister.
There's a lot of not explaining things. I mean, obviously, we're adults, and when you watch a kids' film, a lot of the times when they don't explain things, it's because there's no need for it or point to move the plot forward. It's not as if they have to spell it, So I think as a child, I would not have noticed, but as an adult, I watch it. I think, is she behaving appropriately?
Is she a fit carer for this child?
Yeah.
She is gaslighting the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Like, she is.
But also, she's nurturing his creativity,
Yes.
but also suppressing his critical thinking. And every time he tries to deduce something, she's like, "Oh no, it's just witches."
There's a lot of, and everybody is out to kill you. Good night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen very carefully. Real witches dress in ordinary clothes and look very much like ordinary women. They live in ordinary houses and they work in ordinary jobs. Witches spend their time plotting to kill children, stalking the wretched child like a hunter stalks a bird in the forest. For all you know, a witch might be living next door to you. What makes her dangerous is the fact that she doesn't look dangerous. You can never be sure if it's a witch you are looking at or a kind lady.
Even as an adult, like watching it the other night, I was genuinely upset by certain parts.
Yeah.
Like it's Jim Henson, isn't it? Which I'd forgotten. It's Jim Henson Creatures Studio. The transformation scenes are legit terrifying. Really, genuinely very scary. Like, what would you describe as the scariest moment in this film?
I think the bit that sort of stood out to me as the most sort of shocking bit was when Bruno was just completely rejected by his parents.
Yeah.
And then just left with them, these parents
They just go-
who were likely just going to kill him at any second.
Yeah.
And then he's just left alone.
And he seems so vulnerable and a child that he doesn't really get it, and he's just like, this donut's massive. It's not like he can even comprehend. That was scary and sad. For me, I think just the sinisterness of the whole thing. Like, the whole... I can't really put a finger on it, but the whole movie's got a vibe. And you don't get that in a kid's film, normally. I mean, maybe because it's being drummed into you by Grandma Helga or whatever her name is. Like, everyone is bad, and you're just like, God, these people are awful. And then just, I don't know, it really got to me, I think.
But I want to talk a little bit about the High Witch herself, Anjelica Huston.
Oh, Miss Ernst.
Amazing. Yeah, Miss Ernst, yeah. When she pulls her face up, which I think might be one of my scariest moments. Like,
Yeah, that was...
yeah.
That was tough to
Turns
get through.
around with it half on.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there in a minute.
That being said, I did have a few questions about the transformation. First of all, where does her nose go?
I was about to ask that.
I reckon
Like,
that's...
does she roll it up?
Yeah.
Does it spring out?
I reckon the nature of a witch is that you could squish it. It could actually be... The shape of your body could change, sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Don't want to say it's a kid's film, but like other things that can grow and shrink
I was about
on
to
a
say the
human
same.
body.
Yeah.
Oh, so you think her nose is... Well, that's interesting. You think her nose is like a penis then? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Put
interesting.
it bluntly.
No, that's interesting though, because did you notice that she totally had hairy testicles on her chin?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
that does make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
In a sort of a Family Guy chin.
Yeah, but like really like hairy and like, ugh, yeah.
Is this one of those situations where visual effects people are putting sexual humour into a kids' film?
Oh, like in The Little Mermaid when the tower turret is an erect penis.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And like in The
Yeah.
Lion King where there's like...
This word sex goes in the
Yeah,
wings or
which they
something.
claim is SFX, but it's
Sure,
not.
yeah.
Come on, fuck off.
Which was also stuck into Frozen.
You may remove your shoes. You may remove your wigs. The doors, are they locked and bolted?
Locked and bolted.
Good. Hey. No.
Witches of England. Your disgrace.
I would describe the child acting in this movie as kind of variable.
Variable.
Oh, no.
Goddamn awful.
Constant 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
I felt like Luke was
At best.
Luke was okay. Like he was passable. He was annoying, but he was passable. Bruno was awful.
Oh, Bruno was so
He was
bad.
awful, but I do know children like that.
Really?
Bruno
Yeah.
is definitely in my top 1 worst actors of all time.
Wow.
The top one. Wow.
Bruno, I don't believe it. I can talk. Bruno! Who's that? Bruno, it's me, Luke. I'm down here. Where? I can't see you. Down here. You can talk too. This is weird.
This icing is terrific.
Are you okay?
They didn't give me the 6 bars of chocolate they promised.
You couldn't eat 6 bars of candy now that you're a mouse.
Don't be stupid. I'm not just because you're that doesn't mean that I'm good lord.
Should we do some drinking games?
Yes, let's do some drinking games.
Okay, so I've got one first, which is... It's a classic drinking game that we do, and John's always going to be a fan, which is drink whenever you see a wig.
Oh, yes. It's just-
Oh my god.
I mean, this is
There'd
quite
be-
the film to do it.
There'd be one scene where you would just end up in hospital.
yeah, the conference scene would basically just kill you.
Yeah.
I have one that is related to that, which is drink whenever a background witch is clearly a man in drag.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a few of those.
Yes, there were. Oh.
Yeah. I thought I'm not so much a drinking game, but an eating game, because
Okay.
there's quite a lot of not that appetising looking food, and with Nail and I drinking game, you have to drink whatever they drink whenever they drink it.
Okay.
What if you had to eat
Whatever they're eating.
whatever they're eating whenever they're eating it? And there's quite a lot, and it's not always that great.
So there'd be cheese. Bruno eats a lot of chocolate, doesn't he? Oh, there's soup. You'd have to eat some soup.
Yeah.
You'd have to eat...
There's the nuts, the dry roasted nuts that she...
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of having crumbs in my bed. And
No.
she just goes, yeah, here's all these nuts in my bed.
Yeah, that bothered me as well. I don't know that at all.
Crumbs in the bed is the worst thing.
Especially dry roasted peanut sweepings.
If anything's scratchy, it's just not what you want. Drink whenever they switch from puppets to real mice.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did they... That was a pretty good mouse that trained.
Yeah.
Unless it was on a string and it was a bit of cloth. When they got it to go up the thing, go around, I don't know. I'm not
No, I think whoever did trained the animals on this film.
I'm
did
not an
very
expert
well.
in animal husbandry,
No.
but I've never claimed to be.
Mouse husbandry.
I don't know if this is conducive to drinking. It made me want to drink. There's a lot of weird direction in that film. The cinematography. There's a lot of shaky cam.
Yeah.
I wondered if
Yeah.
every time it deviated from a standard kids movie, you will just have to have a drink. Not like it's a drinking game. It's just like it's driven you to need a strong beverage. There was a bit when she fainted because she had diabetes.
I thought that was very
And it
strange.
was like the camera was looking through the mouse cage, and the mouse was like... And he's going, "Oh my god, my grandma's dead!" And it's just like kept on. I think it just kept for a bit too long. I needed a drink.
Yeah. Just to go, that I didn't put that in my drinking games, but I did want to mention that because that was my biggest inappropriate laugh of the film. It was just such a because it's a kids' film, and a lot of the time, like when people get sick in kids' films, it's like, oh, she's got pneumonia or she's had a heart attack. Like, so it was your grandma has a mild case of diabetes. I don't know why I just laughed so hard. Diabetes, yeah. Your grandma's got the diabetes. I just laughed so hard. I just thought it was what a ridiculous thing for it to have. Like, I mean, it's very common. I'm not saying it's not weird. It just seemed like a weird choice. Like, it didn't seem like a normal kind of kids' film kind of thing. No, yeah.
Also, just on a not normal for a kids' film thing. In fact, normal any film. The only other goodie, and he's a bit of an anti-hero, not really a good goodie, I've ever seen smoking cigars is Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yes, she likes to chain smoke.
Fatty Cubans.
Granny is badass. She is a gangster. I really liked her.
You don't ever see a goodie smoking a cigar, do you? Especially a good Norwegian witch-fighting grandma.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe that's the thing, I don't know.
That's what you want, though, isn't it? Like, an old lady chain smoking and killing witches is... automatically going to be fun. She
didn't seem to have a source of income. She's an old lady.
Yeah.
But the way she said it, she said, "Oh yes, I've got a property in London." And they turn up, and then it's like they stay one day there, and then there's no actual reason for them to be in that hotel. The only thing is, there's a bit of exposition where the kid, Luke, tells William and Mary, the mice, the pet mice, we're going to this hotel, and then it cuts to the hotel. There's no
Are you suggesting that the grandma is some kind of Heisenberg figure? Where there's a whole subplot that we're not seeing off screen, where she's just like this manic
smoking a cigar,
a drug dealer, and she's they're at the hotel because go on the lam because a deal's gone wrong. She has to shoot someone or something.
Oh, John, I hope that's what you've done. I'd love to.
It's
hear
not,
that
but
expanded.
I wish I had now. See, what were we saying? Like, our best ideas come live sometimes.
That's true.
I wish I'd gone with that now.
I mean, yeah, she was definitely. I don't know if she was hiding something, but there was a lot of evasion in the way that she answered questions.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
I agree. I feel like she used the whole "it's witches" thing to cover a whole lot of dodgy territory. Yeah.
But the thing is, they were witches.
True.
So we're looking at it in the ridiculous frame of mind that witches are a silly thing, and she's just being a bit...
Well, I'm just wondering if the whole thing was sort of seen through one person's point of view.
And that's the traumatised child view.
Maybe, yeah. Probably, and that's just one interpretation of what actually happened. Maybe it was something completely different. So, that idea got that idea as well. Again, best ideas come live.
Yeah, didn't think of that. Right.
Prepare to be disappointed from here on out.
Yeah, this episode has peaked. Any more drinking games?
Nope.
Okay, I have one more. Well, it does lead into my sequel, but I'll call it a preview. Drink for terrible customer service at that hotel. Like, I don't understand why anyone would stay there.
That is a very good point.
It's infested by rats and mice, even before they turn up, clearly. We see the chef get a steak and literally smack it around the inside of a bin, which I thought was disgusting.
Did you notice as well, he started off with a French accent.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I hope I want the soup."
And by the end, he's from, Gartha.
Yeah, he's like, "Bloody hell, give me that steak. I'll give it here. That'll sort them out."
But yeah, it seemed, I don't know why it seemed like such a popular hotel, because it was mank.
Is this your room?
Yes.
Yes?
I see. I'm sorry, madam, but I cannot permit mice in my hotel.
How dare you say that when your rotten hotel is full of rats anyway?
Rats? There are no rats in this hotel.
I saw one this morning running along the corridor into the kitchens.
Madam, you only arrived in the hotel this afternoon.
Morning, afternoon. I saw a rat in your hotel. And if matters do not improve, I shall have to report you to the public health authorities.
Alternative readings?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So, my first alternative reading is Anjelica Huston just wants a pet mouse, and foreign old lady has other ideas.
We've touched on mine slightly, and it is that she's toxically feeding this child lies and kidnapped him, and she's just gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
She's lied to him about his parents dying, kidnapped him, run off to this weird hotel, feeding him all this tripe just to scare him into not running away. You've turned into a mouse.
So you think he's actually not turned into a mouse? He's
Well,
just
it's-
profoundly traumatised.
Yeah. I mean, if someone told me with enough conviction I'd turned into a mouse and I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
I mean, who am I to argue?
Hey,
She's a
Paul.
grown-up.
Okay, so mine is The Witches, a terrifying early draft of the best exotic marigold hotel.
Nice.
So is it time for some sequels?
Yeah, go on then.
Right, well, you're
Go
first.
Me first, and then Paul, do you want to go second? And then
Sounds good to me.
Lovely. Okay, and so mine is called The Witches 2. It's a witchy witch world.
It's a witchy witch world.
A witch eat witch world.
Oh, witch eat witch.
As in dog eat dog.
Okay, I thought you said witchy witch as in Richie Rich with a speech impediment.
Or that.
With Jonathan Wass.
Yeah, I was thinking is this witch eat witch world.
Whichever you think's funnier.
No, we'll go with yours. Well, I assume it's going to feed into the plot in some way.
Great.
Okay, cool. It's a bold assumption, clearly.
So we open at the same time as the original film took place, back in 1990.
Okay.
We're in a taxi, and Melissa McCarthy is playing this first character.
As a child?
No.
Oh. Sorry. No, it's set in 1990, right?
Yeah. So all the films are always made in present day. by the
Okay,
way.
great.
So Melissa McCarthy is playing somebody in a taxi, and she's stressing that she's going to be late for this NSPCC meeting in the hotel. And she explained to the taxi driver that she is the American representative for the organisation and is running very late because she got her days mixed up. Maybe she's not very good at organising things. I can imagine her being a bit sort of bumbling.
Okay.
I hope they won't be too unhappy to see me. I might have missed the main speech, so they'll have to catch me up. She's itching her head a lot, so much so that the silent taxi driver is looking at her anxiously as though she will leave lice in his cab or something. So they pull up at the hotel, and she runs straight to reception to sign in. I believe you're expecting me. I'm with the NSPCC party. She looks over her shoulder as she hears a bit of a kerfuffle coming from the restaurant. Something going down. The receptionist is like, yes, can I have your name, please? Doris Flittersworth.
Doris Flittersworth.
Yes. Are you happy with that? I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's very good. Yeah.
Good. Yes, you're up in room 203. Your party are currently having dinner in a restaurant, I believe. They're just starting their first course. Would you like me to take your bags to your room while you join them? Oh, that would be just swell. I forgot I was going to do an American accent.
Yeah.
Let's go on now.
Come on, come on, embody it, Melissa McCarthy. Come on.
Nah. Very, very well. So Doris rushes through to the restaurant to join in, and walks in to see essentially one of the final scenes from the first movie of just absolute chaos going down, and Rowan Atkinson / Basil Fawlty is just smashing mice to pieces. Well, all the people that she's there to see, they're all turning into these mice.
Mm-hmm.
And so she shouts, "Ladies, meet me up in room 203. I can help." So any of the mice that survive, they all make their way to room 203 somehow. Because I don't for a second believe that the waiters are going to be able to get all the mice. There's going to be 7 escapees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the witches.
Yeah.
That's why I felt the film was left a little bit open there. I took advantage of that.
Okay.
So she steps in and starts defending some of the mice by using a little bit of magic to make all the waiters just miss the mice or something, perhaps hit each other in the face, that sort of thing. And then when everything sort of calmed down a little bit, she goes up to her room. There's only 10 mice there. There's only actually 10 left. There's not many. So she starts making a potion, which she believes is going to turn them all back into witches.
Okay.
Maybe she's not as powerful as some of the other witches we see in the film.
Like Jane Horrocks could just point, but she has to prove something. Okay, sure.
And so she starts muttering the ingredients for the potion, like, 2 snake eggs, 3 toenails of an elderly Italian, a lock of hair taken from a virgin, sleeping under the light of a blood moon.
So 3 toenails of an elderly Italian?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I was travelling while I wrote this.
I know. What did you get up to?
I did some weird stuff.
Bit of witchcraft.
Over the cauldron, a blast of pink smoke appears, and she says, "It's ready," with an evil look in her eye. We then see the shadows of each of these mice taking a bit of this potion and then turning back into witches.
Okay.
They said human females. That is what a witch is, right?
It's human females. Wow.
All right. Cut to 10 years later.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Or more. I don't know. I forget.
Are we cutting to the present day?
Yeah, we could do. Would that be
That's
20,
like 27 years
yeah,
later. Yeah.
It's quite a while.
What is? Does it matter? What 2000?
We'll see. I don't remember what I've written here.
Okay, fine.
I mean, sorry, I don't remember what I'm just making up right now as we go.
All of this is off the cuff every week.
Completely.
Yeah.
So we follow one of the witches around as she goes about her day,
Mm-hmm.
collecting ingredients for a potion, tempting children with... Oh, it is 10 years later. Tempting children out with Pokemon cards.
Oh, okay, it's 2000. So is this still Melissa McCarthy?
No, this is somebody else.
Just some other witch.
Some random person.
Okay, cool.
And she's also being particularly horrible to everyone she comes across, apart from children, of course, who she's, trying to give Pokemon cards to.
Okay.
She's got all these cards. What's she going to do with them? She's got like 10 Pikachus. I don't know what a Pokemon is. This day doesn't go so well for her. She doesn't actually lure any kids. And so she just goes back to home with her tail between her legs and walks
She has
in.
a tail? Is that the mouse?
No.
The mouse's tail. Not a complete transformation.
Just a saying. She goes back to her home and she walks in. She sees somebody's in her kitchen.
Okay.
By the way, what was the name of the good witch at the end of this film?
Jane
Horrocks. Miss Susan Irvine, I think.
Susan Irvine? Great.
Okay.
I looked it up on IMDb. It was Miss Irvine. So
Miss Irvine, yeah.
Susan Irvine will do.
Sure.
Might call her Sue.
I liked how she was disgruntled enough to be nice.
Yeah. Well, I felt like she really sort of turned round at the end and saw the light or something. So that's what I've written about. Oh, Miss Irvine, what are you doing here? I haven't seen you since that awful day in the hotel. Yes, it's been a while, hasn't it? Would you like a cup of tea? Oh, thank you. Did you not get turned into a mouse as well? I don't remember seeing you in Doris's room. No, I missed that, thankfully. I was on an errand for the High Witch. Oh, of course.
I don't feel like you're doing as much voice work as I think you can. You need to differentiate.
Right, okay. Let me start again. Miss Irvine, what are you doing here? I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what
I haven't seen you since that awful day in a hotel. Oh yes, it's been a while, hasn't it? Would you like a cup of tea? Oh, thank you. Did you not get turned into a mouse as well? I don't remember seeing you in Doris's room. No, I missed that, thankfully. I was on an errand for the High Witch. Oh, of course. I'm not confident in what I'm doing here. I don't like this voice.
You need to commit. You need to go hard or go home.
So, do you know what the status is of the current High Witch? Do you know where she is? No, but I know where Doris is.
I'm sorry, is this acting a character choice or you have?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
What's happening to me? Oh, how was your tea? Have you poisoned me? Tell me where Doris Flittersworth is, or I'll turn you into a gone-off aubergine. She's staying at the Ritz in London. Now help me. I'm not going to help you. Cackles Miss Irvine. Walks out. No. And now she's an aubergine. And that's it. End of scene.
Wow. Okay, I take it back. You've taken some lessons.
That is the great sound of turning into an aubergine.
Yeah. God.
No.
It's Oscar worthy.
Oh, I forgot I wrote that. Sorry, I need to calm down a little bit. So next scene, Miss Irvine walks into the Ritz Hotel, checks into her room, and she goes up to her room, and when she walks in, there's a shadowy figure sitting in a chair in the corner, so the tables are turned a little bit. Okay. Somebody's obviously got there first. She turns the light on and sees Doris Flittersworth waiting for her.
So this is Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I forgot to say it. Miss Irvine, I was going to cast Nicole Kidman.
To replace Jane Horrocks?
Mm.
Why not Jane Horrocks?
I don't think that she can sell a movie right now. I have no idea who she is, what she's been in. Nicole Kidman, I think, why has she not played a witch at some point? Has she played a witch at some point?
Was she a witch in his Philip Pullman film? Was that a witch or was that
She's a weird, evil doctor woman.
Yeah. Oh, she was Bewitched. As a witch.
Was that band from the 90s?
No, yes, Nicole Kidman was in the band Bewitched. She was the one who went, "You fight like me, Dad."
She did play an Irish person with a massive nose.
She did, yeah. So she's
In
done all
The
all,
Others,
yeah.
was
In
it?
the Hours.
The Hours.
No, she played a witch in the movie Bewitched, which is not about the band Bewitched.
Okay.
It's a remake of the TV series Bewitched, which
Who's-
is a carbon copy of the TV series I Dream of Jeannie.
Yes. We're just throwing references that are far too out of date for Harry at this point. Like.
What's going on? When are you talking about?
The 60s.
And the 90s.
And the
early
90s,
noughties,
yeah.
The 90s.
Yeah.
I've
No,
heard
she,
of the 90s.
you've heard of the 90s, yeah.
What? I'm young.
I've heard tell of the 90s.
John talks about them all the time.
Apparently I was in the 90s.
Okay, so back to this. So she turns the light on and sees Doris Flittersworth waiting for her.
Okay.
Doris points at her, and immediately a net comes out of her finger, wraps up Miss Irvine, trapping her in a corner.
Okay.
Wow.
Doris says, "Oh, I didn't do a voice for Doris."
Well, now she chants.
"Now, Miss Irvine." They're all just nasally. That's all my voice is.
Yeah.
Witches are nasally. "Now, Miss Irvine."
Maybe she's like German or something, or is she American?
I can't do accents.
That's because you don't try.
It's fair, but
Go do this with your mouth.
If I said
then
to
try
myself,
talking.
I can't do Cher, think how short some more episodes would be. Like,
that's true. Those have been our best episodes.
how about Texan? Everyone can do Texan.
I'll get back to you on this, but episodes in the future I will do accents.
Okay.
But now's not the time.
Okay.
I'm not ready.
Okay, fine.
"Now, Miss Irvine, what are you doing here? The Grand High Witch asked me to keep track of your whereabouts and stop you if you started getting dangerous." Miss Irvine thinks long and hard. She's quite smart. "I've been tracking down the Grand High Witch. I have a proposition for her." "Oh, what are you going to ask her?" "I have information about the old Grand High Witch. She's still alive and wants her position back. I know a way to destroy her." "She'll be very interested to hear about this. Tell me how you can destroy the old Grand High Witch, and I will let her know." No. I need to see her myself. This magic can destroy any Grand Witch, so she wouldn't want it sharing with anyone else." "Right, well, I'll bring her in then." "Wait, she's here?" "Yes." I don't think Melissa McCarthy can do this voice. I don't know. Anyway, it's nearly over.
She's got quite a range.
I do not. So Doris goes to the broom cupboard just on the side and opens it. Spiders scuttle across the floor, and we get a reveal from the shoes up.
Okay.
We see a cat standing by the shoes, and this person wearing a long black dress, broomstick in hand, just your classic witch, long black pointy hat. I'm casting Sigourney Weaver.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting.
Could she play a witch?
I don't. Well, yes, sort of. She was in a really grown adult version remake of Snow White and she played the wicked stepmother.
Oh, the one with the huntsman. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Not the recent Charlize Theron one, but in the 90s she played. It was like a really dark adult version of the film, and she played the witch in that. Yeah, she's never done like a campy witch. I don't think.
Okay. Well, so the Grand High Witch is so confident with her power, she frees Miss Irvine from her net.
Okay.
So Miss Irvine just can stand up. First thing she does is she throws both her hands out at the Grand High Witch, mutters some kind of spell, and just a blue stream of light flies out towards her and hits her in the stomach.
I'm sorry, Miss Irvine.
Miss Irvine casts a spell on the Grand High
Sigourney
Witch.
Weaver.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Hadouken.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the Grand High Witch falls to the floor, sort of convulsing and twitching. She throws up a load of black goo, and it's all very sort of a little bit scary and creepy.
Okay.
Is this still a kid's film?
Yes, this is still a kid's film. Hey, the first one was scary, wasn't it?
It's not like Wizard of Oz 2, is it? It's not a kid's film.
Doris runs to her side, trying to help her and stop whatever is happening. But the Grand Witch curls up into the fetal position and just stops moving. What have you done to her? You've killed her. Doris grabs Miss Irvine and starts strangling her. He wrestles her to the ground, so it gets physical now.
Okay.
He wrestles her to the ground, and just as Miss Irvine is about to pass out, we hear a voice from the corner. "Get away from her, you witch!"
Oh, is this Julie Walters?
Oh my word, that's amazing. Sorry, I just enjoyed that moment.
Stunned, Doris looks up to see the Grand High Witch standing over her.
Which Grand High Witch? Is this Sigourney Weaver?
Sigourney Weaver.
Okay.
Sigourney looks down and says, "No more." "No more what?" says Doris. "No more evil." "But..." And then Sigourney casts a spell down on her. Doris lets out a scream and she shrinks down into a mouse.
Okay.
Scuttles away.
Trademark.
Not an aubergine this time, just a mouse.
Just a mouse.
Okay.
So the Grand High Witch did that.
The Grand High Witch did that to her
So-
just with her hands. Doesn't need a potion.
Okay.
Just hands. Or something. Finger. I don't know. Clicked her finger down at it like that. Boom.
Boom like a
Mouse.
trap.
No more. What are you going to do now? Asked Miss Irvine. I'm going to put a stop to all this witchery. Will you help me? Of course. And that's it.
Oh,
so
okay.
what Miss Irvine did,
Oh.
she made her good.
So
Took all
Miss
the evil out of
Irvine's
it.
spell turned Sigourney Weaver into a good witch?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So now there are 2 good witches.
Okay.
And they're going
Rule the galaxy together.
to... Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, very good, very good.
Thoughts?
Yeah, interesting.
I loved it. I loved the bit when you brought in aliens.
One question. Why did you choose Melissa McCarthy and not, say, Bette Midler?
I don't know. I wanted somebody who would have just a little bit of comedy to them.
Okay, fair. Bette Midler's comedic.
Sure. I don't know, I just chose Melissa McCarthy just as the first person that came to mind, I guess.
Okay, fair. Cool. No,
I think
she works.
Bette Midler probably would have been better casting given the other cast.
Yeah. Well, she's another... Yeah.
She might have been a bit old.
Well, she could have been... Since she's an American witch, it could have been Winifred. You could have done a crossover. It could have been Winifred Sanderson was attending that convention.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Paul Kelly, you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
Okay. So, my sequel idea is called Witch Hunter, the Mousetrap.
Nice.
Okay, so the action takes place in a dystopic future. It's set in the present day, so it's set in 2017, so 27 years after the original took place.
Okay, so is it actually a sequel?
It's a sequel.
Great.
Yep. It's in the style of, like an Alan Moore or a Frank Miller graphic novel adaptation.
Okay.
So like Sin City or 3. It's like a neo-noir.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's he called? Zack Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of really, really...
Yeah, I know.
Like,
thought.
have you seen John Wick?
No, but I've heard such good things. I really should watch that.
It's got that style, and the guy, it's very kind of not depressing, but he's like in a sulk, and then it's just instant graphic violence. It's quite.
Is it not related? It's related to Atomic Blonde, isn't it, in some way? Because we saw
Atomic
Atomic Blonde.
I've not seen that one yet, but
It's fun, yeah.
I want to. Yeah, I think they're related. It's a very kind of stylish, dark, lots of extreme violence.
Okay, so yeah, comic noir.
Yeah, that's the world we're in.
Okay, cool.
So at the end of the first film, they end up with Luke and Helga. The final little twist is that he sneaks off and puts a little tag on the Grand High Witch's suitcase and gets it delivered to their house.
Oh yes, Luke
and it's
does,
got like
yes.
millions and millions of pounds in it,
Mhm.
and that's how they're going to fund going to America on a witch hunt to defeat all of the other witches. Now, this has actually ended up being a lifelong battle, and in the style of Constantine or something, where basically it's just some epic. He's become a martial arts killing expert, and it's just chopping witches' heads off all the time.
So this is Luke. Luke has
become this jaded, traumatised, fucked in the head person who's just like, witches are real and I've got to kill them all. So not very healthy.
Is Granny dead?
Unfortunately, Granny's passed away.
Oh.
You don't really learn much about why.
Okay.
Well,
it's been 27 years.
Yeah,
but
diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes.
Yeah,
she had one cake too many. That was it. Yeah.
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
Yeah. So the witches have pervaded society now, and their their tendrils have grown. They hate children. That's their thing.
Yeah.
But in order to exterminate children, they've gotten loftier ideas. They're now in government. There's places, things like that. So it's harder for our Luke to. You can't just go up and kill the Secretary of Education or something.
I see. They're in government. They're everywhere.
So they're everywhere in the world. It's
Right,
not just these old women you have to watch out for that bother children. It's now they're part of life, and he's the only one who can see it, sort of thing.
They're institutionalized. Okay.
So he's worked out. This all becomes a bit of a conspiracy kind of film.
Uh-huh.
He's worked out that witches have been responsible for some major world events, catastrophes, disasters, terrorists.
Are you
things.
saying 9/11 was a witch inside job?
That is what I've got written here. Including the rise of terrorism and Islamophobia. And after 9/11, due to the internet consciousness of young people becoming woke and realising that 9/11 was an inside job. Although don't quote me on that in case you're listening.
I like that you're talking to the microphone as if it's a person. That's our audience.
This is a work of fiction.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Jim Core, finish your story.
So after that, it actually becomes easier to root out these witches, and because of conspiracy theories, people are more willing to listen to these radical ideas that person is a witch and witches are real and it's fucked.
It's like flat Earth theories. It's like there's a YouTube channel for it and everything now.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it eventually could turn. This is all preamble to the movie.
Okay,
right?
cool.
So this is all what happened. Well, I'm sure we can learn it through a series of flashbacks or just his traumatic experience. You know, he's caught in the headlines and he just remembers what's going on. Basically, the witches. It is acknowledged by the mass media that it is a fact. Everybody now realises in the world that they're witches, and they did it, and they did 9/11, and they've hated children, and it's all a fact, right? And now people are aware of the fact that there are witches, and they've all been killed, right? And the world is a safer place now that they've been eradicated. The horrible global conspiracy is no more, right? So here we are. We start. That's like the.
In a witch-free world.
We're in a witch-free world now, right?
Interesting.
But Luke, in his mid-30s, has now lost his his raison d'etre.
Oh, okay.
And he's jaded. He's kind of not right in the head. He's a bit fucked. And he's still mourning the death. He's not really had a chance to mourn the death of his whole family. His parents died in a car crash, and we don't really know what happened to Helga, but I'm sure there'll be a point when he looks at a photo. So he's just kind of walking around in a bit of a glum, but he's got these. The thing is, if you were a killing machine, it'd be a bit strange to not be doing that. And he's walking around a bit, you know. And he's at the cheese shop because he's still got like mousy quirks, you know. He was turned back into a human, but a lot of the mouse stayed with him. So he's in the cheese shop.
So he's got post-rodent stress disorder or something.
You could say, or he's affected by the
PRSD.
He eventually, as these stories go, and he meets a woman named Sophia. They seem to have there's a bit of a Hollywoodiness. They seem to share a connection, and they don't talk at first, but they see each other a few times in the cheese shop or wherever, and they end up talking, and this bond grows because she understands his grief. Her mum died when she was young, and it's all, you know, they really seem to get on well together. They end up spending a lot of time together. They're forming a bond, and until then he was a loner due to his grief / extremely violent and cool past. Suddenly, that's all like we're in now. He's got a love interest. He don't know where it's going. Luke finds out from Bruno.
Oh, Bruno's still on the
that
scene.
the witches might not have all been killed.
Okay. Twist.
And he begins to mentally unravel this. Like he's just about got his life on track. He's met someone. He's coping. He's going to therapy or whatever. He's not killed anyone, and he just finds out that the witches are back, and it's like, oh my god.
So what's Bruno's story? What's happened to him?
I feel like Bruno is a child of privilege in many ways.
Yes.
And I feel like he might have slipped into a civil service kind of job.
Okay.
Maybe ended up in a position in government where he gets information.
Okay.
But I think he would have been a silly child, but he grew up much like his dad and very straight-laced.
Yeah.
But obviously knows the score.
Okay.
And obviously now that the witches are a thing. But the reason Bruno's talking to him in this clandestine fashion is because the witches have now got new powers to disguise themselves in society. You can't tell them anymore by their square feet and purple eyes. They've sorted that out. And they're up to something even more devious.
Okay.
So he sort of has a bit of a breakdown, and Sophia's like, what's going on? And they're so close now. And she insists on helping. But Luke's like, no, you can't do this. I must do this alone. But he can't stop her, right? They find out that the witches are planning to meet. at the place that everyone would least suspect, the Hotel Excelsior.
Oh, yes.
The original hotel from the original movie.
The hotel from the original movie.
Can't believe it's still open, frankly, but okay.
I know. TripAdvisor's done a...
I thought you were going to say Ground Zero or something.
So they get there under the pretense of a newly married couple, like Austin Powers. They check in. They don't know how, but they just know.
Who's playing the love interest? Did we establish?
We've not talked about any cast yet.
Oh, okay. Is that coming? Or?
Should we do this at the end, maybe?
Sure.
So maybe we can... I'll go through it. I've not got far to go, and we can...
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't mean to throw you off. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. So they get there, they check in. They don't really know what they're doing. Sophia finds a clue that the hotel rests on an ancient ley line. And this is a historic meeting place for witches. The hotel was founded by the first ever witch. The current owners are blissfully unaware they just run a 2-star.
Is this still Rowan Atkinson?
That would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it's got to be him still.
Still a raging arsehole.
Yeah.
They agree to... They're split up. They decide we're going to go and just see witch hunt spotting sort of thing. Don't know really what they're looking for. It's a bit harder this time. Just any suspicious activity amongst groups of gangling women. And they agree to meet in the conference room at 7. As the meeting starts at 8, they need to work. Hopefully they'll get their findings, work out what's going on, be able to find out what to do. Sophia doesn't show. Luke's a bit concerned. He goes around a corner or something. I've not really elaborated this bit, but he's discovered by the witches and he's captured. They capture him. Again. And yet again, he's brought... It's pretty much a repeat of the first thing where he's brought on the stage, they're all there, and they're all announced, the head witch, Grand High Witch is about to enter. Sophia is the Grand High Witch.
His love interest.
His love interest.
Oh, what a betrayal.
That's a twist.
She's the daughter of
Miss
Ernst, the Anjelica Huston. Now, obviously, there was no love from mother to daughter because witches hate children.
Oh, yeah. How do they procreate?
So I'm going to assume the nose.
Yeah. Well, makes sense. Yeah. She just sneezed in the wrong direction and some poor woman got pregnant. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, you were suggesting they were all lesbians at one point, so
true,
very possible.
Is that what lesbians do? They just sneeze on everyone? Is that how lesbians...
Don't pretend you've not seen those movies.
So yeah, it turns out she's the daughter of the Grand High Witch, Mrs. Ernst. She's getting revenge because Luke is responsible for the death of her mother. So she's planned this on. She knew that the witches were meeting there. She's entered his life under false pretenses to get him there so they could get him.
It's fair enough.
It all then just turns into an overly violent action piece.
Okay.
So Luke's just... Something flips. He goes full old school. He goes to reach for his cheese knives.
Okay. Of course. Yeah.
But they're not in his pockets. Sophia must have removed them by magic. It's at this point he has a flashback to Helga, who tells him that the only true way to kill a witch is to remove her head. And that is how she lost her finger.
Chopping off a woman's head.
Who knows? That is left to the children's imaginations.
Okay.
At this point, he reveals his mouse-like claws.
Oh, okay.
Deadly, long, sharp fingernails, and he goes to town in a violent bloodbath, just ripping heads off and just...
So this is getting a bit Tarantino now.
Yeah, basically a Tarantino ending. And
mine's on standard question. Who is this for?
Audience-wise.
Yeah.
Who's it pitched to?
I think it's pitched to the children who watched The Witch in the 90s.
Right, okay.
Who are now old enough to realise the true nature of things.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the end of the film, really. I'm sure he'll save Sophia for last and have some kind of witty line. I've just put an asterisk at the bottom. All puns from Stuart Little / Ratatouille are to be pinched.
Okay. Great. So Sophia has to die then. That's the end. Yeah.
Well, I've kind of left it. I ran out of time. My lunch was over.
That never happens to us, does it?
But yeah, it's one of those. I mean, if you were paying homage to the original film, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I'm interested.
What an ending.
There's a lot of plot holes.
I'm interested in casting for this one. So we need some kind of like early 30s, late 20s martial arts person to play Luke.
So I think you want to go with a Ryan Gosling type, but he's done that too many times. I think.
Does he do
Have
fight?
you ever seen Only God Forgives?
I've not actually. Is he fighting that one?
He's an extremely violent man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's that style, but I think we need to go.
So someone quite suave. Then you're looking at right?
Someone who it would be cheesy and annoying at first, but you'd end up going with it. Like Bradley Walsh or
Bradley Walsh. Do you mean Bradley Cooper?
No, Bradley Walsh.
You mean Bradley Walsh? Wow. Okay.
I mean, someone who was like, he's American, isn't he? The kid, isn't he? So.
Zac Efron, can he fight?
Yeah, that'd be great. Imagine
maybe that could be his
dark
his
movie.
transition into adult roles, maybe. And then the love interest.
I thought, what's her name? Rumi Pace? Is that how you say it?
Noomi Rapace.
Noomi Rapace.
The Swedish actress. Yes.
Roomy Pace.
Roomy Pace.
Those words just flew right out of my mouth.
Okay, yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that she could definitely play because she played the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, but that's cheating, isn't it? Really?
I don't necessarily think so.
I would.
Also, she's Scandinavian, so there's continuity there because obviously the Helga was Scandinavian in the first. So you've got
Yeah. I don't know. I've not really thought I thought Bruno, Jack Black.
Good, yeah. Bruno totally got to be Jack Black.
Yeah, but he'd be doing an English accent.
I think he could pull that off
easily.
Yeah, and just constantly eating donuts and things.
Yeah. That's a good Jack Black. That's a classic Jack Black role.
Yeah. So, any more questions?
No. So you're setting up this up to some kind of franchise then? I guess
it
there might
sounds
be more,
like it, doesn't it? I mean, like,
it does well enough. There could be another.
What if? I mean, I'm just freestyling here, but what if he doesn't kill her at the end because she goes, "You're my brother."
Star Wars moment.
I love these twists.
There we go.
Family twists.
There we go.
Have they already had sex?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's get a bit of Game of Thrones as well.
Crikey. This is something else.
But the thing is,
this is not for kids now, right?
No,
the thing is, if they did have sex, he's gonna have a strange mouse penis, and she's obviously. If you're a witch, I imagine when you're having sex is when your control over your appearing normal is going to be at its most vulnerable, isn't it? So you're going to start going like and stuff, and maybe he's too much in the throes of passion.
Maybe he ends up like sitting on her nose and like riding it. Did I go too far? Sorry.
Maybe they have 20 babies every 6 weeks.
Yes.
And then eat some of those. No. Sorry.
Wow, okay.
I don't like where this conversation is going. Let's just move on. John, what's your idea?
Okay, so my idea is No Sex, the movie.
Lars von Trier.
My Lars von Trier, nasal sex movie. So for me, I haven't got a title for mine, actually, unusually.
Oh,
but
I'll help you out then.
I know. Yeah, maybe you can help me with this. But mine is based on a character that I found kind of puzzling in the film, which is the Jane Horrocks character, Miss Irving. So similar to yours, she's she's the main character of mine, because I did feel like she was a real kind of she wasn't in the original book. She's crowbarred in to kind of create this kind of happy ending, and I feel like they created a lot of plot holes by including her in that way. So by the end of the original film, she's the last surviving witch, we presume. The rest have all been turned into mice.
Yes,
and she's apparently become a good guy. She rocks up at the end and turns Luke and Bruno back into human beings.
Because they get the book, don't they, about all the witches in America?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But that made me think, like, so does that mean that witches aren't born evil? They just evil is thrust upon them?
Oh, you've thought about it.
I have thought. It's like so. If witches are capable of becoming good, then is that some? I mean, I don't know where witches come from. Whether they're humans who turn to evil and then the evil makes them become ugly.
That's the way that I interpreted it, because I mean, Roald Dahl talks about that in, I think it's like the Twits or something.
It is the Twits.
Just like what's the way he words it?
It's like it doesn't matter how physically, whether you're fat or thin, or you've got buck teeth, or you've got whatever your features are. If you have nice thoughts, you'll always look beautiful, and if you have ugly thoughts, you'll always look ugly. Which I think is a nice
something
thing
about shining out of your face.
Yes,
something like that.
Yeah, it's a really nice
he puts it
message.
very well.
Yes, but yeah, I wondered if that was the case, or whether it's the case that witches are like a different species that are just evil and that's how has she suddenly become good? It posed a lot of questions that it didn't answer.
Did you see her take her mask off?
Yeah, she does. Well, she doesn't take the only one who takes the mask off is the Grand High Witch. The rest just take their wigs off.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a scene, I did go back and check to make sure. So she definitely pulls her wig off and she's bald like the rest. She's got the purple eyes and she's bald. But she doesn't have like the giant penis nose or the testicle chin or any of that. So anyway, so I thought, okay, so what happens to her at the end of the film? So at the end of the film, obviously she is basically unemployed. Like she's lost her job with the Grand High Witch. Mm-hmm. And so what's she going to do now? You know, what's next for Miss Irvine? So I thought she seemed like she was pretty keen on the hotel. Like the reason she turned to the side of good was that she wasn't allowed to join the party. So I feel like she was shunned. So she actually clearly took some kind of liking to this hotel. So in my sequel, I guess, she just after turning Bruno and Luke back into real boys and atoning, whatever, she decides to go back to the hotel, and she casts a love spell on Rowan Atkinson and forces him to marry her, and then she becomes the co-manager of the whole kind of holiday resort / hotel, because the hotel already seems pretty dysfunctional. Like I said, it's full of rats, and it's, you know, the chefs are disgusting. They're like, you know, the staff seem very unprofessional. It seems like a very hostile workplace. Yeah. So I'm imagining my sequel actually as being a sitcom in the style, we mentioned it a few times, in the style of Fawlty Towers. Because again, I got the whole idea that, you know, Rowan Atkinson was doing kind of a Basil Fawlty thing, as we said. I think it's funny we all picked up on that. So in this version, Jane Horrocks' character is basically the Sybil Fawlty to his Basil Fawlty, but with the added complication that she's constantly having to hide the fact that she's a hideous Satan-worshipping creature of darkness. So, you know, she's trying to keep up appearances of being very Sybil Fawlty, you know, like Basil, but she's also bald and, you know, having to hide the fact that she's this hideous witch as well. Okay. So that's basically the setup for this.
I'll just put my face on.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to follow like some classic Fawlty Towers kind of sitcom tropes, like maybe there'll be the visit by the health inspector, which is obviously going to go badly wrong as the place is completely infested with rats and mice, some of whom are talking former witches, because we saw all the people who get turned into mice can still speak, because that poor chef woman can still, until she gets flattened by the High Witch, she's speaking. Yeah. She's like, it's in the soup. So I think there's going to be a running joke where there's lots of talking mice just running around the hotel causing havoc. I also want to try and create kind of a shared Roald Dahl universe in which characters from other Roald Dahl books kind of pop into the hotel as guests. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe it's actually kind of a Fawlty Towers style sitcom mixed with the Netflix adaptation of Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events. Yeah. You know how there's kind of an overarching plot, but there's also every week you introduce to a new kind of crazy character. Okay. Yeah, I see. You hear their story. So I think a hotel's a perfect setting for that, because people are transient in hotels. People come and go. So I think maybe there's like an overarching plot of her trying to fit in and stuff, but also every week she meets a new crazy character who happens to be a Roald Dahl person. So for example, one week maybe a young teacher called Miss Honey checks in with her adopted daughter Matilda, who causes chaos with her telekinetic powers, you know, sending things flying across the rooms. And she's already a child, so Jane Horrocks is predisposed to dislike her. Yeah. And eventually Miss Irvine just gets sick to death of her and her bookishness and her causing trouble, and she just traps her in a Hieronymus Bosch painting that she's had hanging out in the lobby the whole time. Oh,
there was that whole element we didn't even discuss.
Oh god, that was so creepy.
Trapping people in, and those when she turns up to the hotel and sees a kid in the photo
and just rubs her out. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but no, I mean that was really really creepy.
I was there in Erica's house 6 weeks later.
Good day, Fran Larson.
Come in, Helga. Have some cake.
I was her best friend when it all happened. Then that day, while Erica's mother was pouring the coffee, her father came walking towards us. It was as if though he had seen a ghost. His face was all twisted up as he walked towards the painting behind me. There, as if it always had been there, was Erica, locked in the painting, gazing at us.
Are you familiar with the paintings of Hieronymus Bosch?
Yeah,
like hellscapes.
Brilliantly so, yeah.
So imagine a child trapped in that, like every day, like, ah!
Poker at the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Hieronymus Bosch paintings were like visions of hell. Right. So there was lots of like horrible violence and like pokers being shoved up people's arses and cats and
they're all about 8 foot big.
Yeah.
And the people are about this big, so it's like a Where's Wally.
Yeah.
But from the 1500s of hell, it really brilliant.
That sounds quite intense.
Yeah. So I'm imagining Matilda being trapped in one of those. Like this. Every day there's something else horrible's happening to her.
No.
Maybe in another episode, an eccentric chocolate magnate checks in for some kind of business convention. Ends up making all the other guests either fart, shrink, or explode with his, ridiculous sweets that he's handing out, until he's eventually arrested for human trafficking, when it's revealed that his Oompa Loompas are actually revealed to be unpaid Romanian orphans. In another episode, a really unpleasant couple in what is clearly a mutual domestic abuse relationship end up accidentally killing each other. This is the twits, obviously. On the exact same day that a very important hotel critic is checking in. So there's a whole comedy of errors where she's trying to hide the bodies and delay calling the police.
She's like hovering him off out a window.
Exactly.
Yes, it's absolutely look over there.
Exactly. So it's like sitcom tropes plus magic plus Roald Dahl. I think there's lots to play with it. So yeah, there's all of that. I think there should also be a side story that runs through the series in which Rowan Atkinson's character, she's cast a spell to make him fall in love with him, but that's just magic. His heart still really beats for the maid that he's sleeping with in the original film.
Who's now a mouse.
Who's now... I don't think she turned into a mouse. I feel like she's become a bearded lady. Because she didn't ingest, did she?
Yeah,
she applied it, and then she looks at herself and she's like... But I don't feel like it really said necessarily she was going to be a full mouse. I feel maybe...
She looked a bit mousy with her ears.
She probably was, but in my version, because she dabbed it onto her skin rather than drinking it, she's basically just become a bit like full on like massive beard. But he loves her and he sees past her, and so they're trying to like have a affair underneath Jane Horrocks' nose.
And a fur.
Yeah. That's one of those words that makes my Scouse accent come through.
It's
always words.
I was saying it as if it was fur.
Oh, fur. Oh, okay. I'm clearly just self-conscious.
Missed that pun. Sorry.
So yeah, I feel it's a side plot with Rowan Atkinson and her just, trying to carry out this affair. And so then that's all. That I think that's enough plot for season 1.
That's great.
And then we move into maybe series 2, and maybe I think that's at that point there should be some kind of big reveal where it turns out Rowan Atkinson's character has an ex-wife who dies in a very Roald Dahlian kind of way. So car accident, unspecified, eaten by a rhino. Crushed by a giant peach, actually, Crushed by a giant peach, leaving him with custody of 3 children, which Miss Irvine, Jane Horrocks, now has to be a surrogate mother to, despite the fact that they smell like actual dog shit to her and make her feel physically ill. And obviously hilarity ensues. And that's kind of it. That was my idea. It was just kind of like an ongoing sitcom of comedy of errors with lots of Roald Dahl characters and just this kind of... It's based around the fact that this hotel seemed like a real shithole, and I wanted to see more of the hotel. So yeah, that's my idea. Any questions?
So, a lot of Roald Dahl productions,
Yes.
books have been already translated into film.
Mm-hmm.
In your sitcom,
Yes.
have you got, what's the name of them who played Matilda?
Oh, Mara Wilson.
Mara Wilson.
Yeah.
Have you got the child? Is this a fantasy realm where you've got the child version of Mara Wilson coming?
No, because as Harry said, we do have a rare rule on our show is that characters have to be played. It has to be. We have to make these sequels as if it was 2017.
Right.
So we have to recast Matilda because Mara Wilson is like 35 now. So yeah.
So any casting?
So we need a child actress, don't we?
Don't really know much about child.
No.
Yeah, we all struggle on this one as well. We don't really know many.
There's the kid from the room who we use every single
Jacob
time.
Tremblay, we all the time.
Oh yeah, from the room.
Yeah, and then from Little Girl, we go Millie Bobby Brown.
She could be a good Matilda.
She would actually. She'd be great. But there's
no one else.
Child actors that we're aware of. That's it. Just
Yeah.
those 2.
Yeah, they're the only 2.
They'll do.
Yeah. Okay. So Millie Bobby
They
Brown
don't
as
probably have a choice.
Matilda. Yeah.
We can make them do it.
Mm-hmm. Also, actually,
that's how children work.
Millie Bobby Brown's character in Stranger Things is kind of Matilda-esque because she's kind of got telekinesis, hasn't she?
That is very true. All right, well there we go.
Cool.
Sorted.
Great. And maybe the rest of the Stranger Things kids can all be Oompa Loompas.
Yes. Right. Solid.
I think Rowan Atkinson can stay as Rowan Atkinson. I know it's been like 30 years, but
he would still be.
He looks much the same.
Yeah.
Just,
he doesn't change.
Yeah.
Are you setting it in the present day, or are you setting it?
Yeah, it's very much set. Well, maybe it's set directly after the original.
I suppose it's quite a timeless thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of the first film doesn't have many markers of 1990 in it.
All right. Well, we're getting on a bit, so shall we get into see what the social medias are saying?
Yes. So listener submissions, we had some good ones this week. Okay, so first of all, Heavy Metal Horrorcast at HMHcast. So theirs is a version of the film called The Witches: What We Do Every Night, and it's a sequel. So this is basically a crossover between The Witches and the classic 90s cartoon series Pinky and the Brain.
Oh.
So yeah, so after the original film, the surviving witches are trapped in a cage in rodent form. And it turns out the Grand High Witch was not killed when she was chopped by Rowan Atkinson. Somehow she survived. So basically, this sequel is following her schemes. She's still leading the pack with the other witches. And she's basically the brain. And so every week they try and do the same thing they do every night, which is try to take over the world. Which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
Loved it. So,
Good. Solid.
Yep. At One Aussie Nerd says his idea is that basically it's kind of a cross between The Witches and Ghostbusters, because the sequel obviously sets up that they're going to go to America to kill all the American witches. So his idea was, let's just do that. So let's imagine they've now set up some kind of Ghostbusters style team to go and kill American witches. So it's like, maybe it's like an ongoing series.
Police procedural drama sort of thing where they've got the office. And...
Yep. Blokebusters, similarly, at Blokebusters, same idea. The story follows Luke and Helga to America, where they go up in search of US witches. Luke is fully decked out like Kevin from Home Alone style. He's packing heat. However, this sequel is directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Ooh,
so it's very stylized and very violent.
Similar to yours then.
Yeah. So they don't just like turn the witches into rats, they brutally murder the witches.
Right.
Yeah. And this turns Luke into kind of a bloodthirsty... Again, this is very similar to yours.
Yeah.
Like a bloodthirsty...
check this guy out.
Yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Like bounty hunter, basically.
Right.
So, and at the climax, Luke has to choose between saving his grandma, Helga, or killing the Grand High Witch. And he chooses to kill the Grand High Witch. So there's some kind of situation where it's like, save the girl or kill the baddie, and he chooses to kill the witch, and Grandma Helga dies. But Miss Irvine, Jane Horrocks, turns up and congratulates him on a very good job. So we can assume that maybe she's like the head of some kind of secret anti-witch, society, and suggests that they go to South America next. So, and then I guess it will follow from there.
Like
so.
after World War II.
Yes. So maybe that's why that is. Think Outside the Box. Think Outside the Box says, ooh, I like these guys. We stole their name.
What?
This is a podcast called Think Outside the Box Set, because they actually emailed me. They wanted to call themselves Beyond the Box Set, and then they Googled it and found us. We got there first.
So we didn't steal
their name, no.
Okay, good. We beat them to it.
We beat them to it, yeah. But they have a really cool podcast.
Yeah. We're going to have a court case on our hands.
A legal issue, yeah.
In a Minority Report kind of way, you did.
Yes. No, their podcast is nothing like ours. So their podcast is they take an artist, they do seasons on music artists, and they do a podcast for every album that the artist has released, and they just discuss it. And so they're currently doing the American country singer Garth Brooks, and I've listened to it. It's very interesting. So yeah, listen to them. Think Outside the Box Set. But their idea is witch hunters, in which a grown-up Matilda, again another Roald Dahl crossover like I had, is forced to go on the run from a now corrupt witch hunting organisation, and so it's just the idea of Matilda as a runaway witch, I guess. And they sing some pop songs. There's some comic relief. There's a character played by Josh Gad from Frozen, who farts a lot, and I guess Matilda teams up with Luke from the original Witches film, and they defeat the witches and fall in love.
Okay.
So, very nice.
Nice.
Or they had two ideas. The other idea was just The Witches remade by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, yeah.
Of Pan's Labyrinth, which would be amazing.
That is a good show.
Not suitable for children, but would be very, very good. And finally, Media Realness. Theirs is called The Brew House, which is essentially the exact same movie, but in Spanish. And it's shot in a telenovela style, and it's very dramatic. And it's subtitled by Tumblr users, so it's just all just GIFs basically, which I really like. So yeah, those are our listener submissions for this week. Great work as always, guys. Thank you very much. If you have any ideas for sequels to The Witches that you'd like us to read out on a future episode, let us know. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us at beyondtheboxset.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Google+. We're on everything, all social media.
Wait, we are?
Yeah, we've got a Google+ page now, everything.
And Tumblr?
And Tumblr, yeah.
I don't even know what Tumblr is.
I've been very bored while I've been away.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're on all forms of social media, so come find us and get in touch and let us know. Also, if there's any sequels for films we've done in the past or films you'd like to hear us do in the future, please do let us know, and we may well get around to them. If you do like the show, please do hit subscribe on your chosen podcasting platform. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Podbean, Google Play. That's new too. All good podcasting platforms. So please do subscribe if you like what we hear. There's a new episode every Friday morning. And if you really like us, leave us a review. It really helps us out. And I think that's everything. So, yeah. So Paul, thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
No.
No, nothing?
I'm an anti-capitalist.
Okay, so your plug is do not buy anything.
I mean, I'm making it up as I go along.
Yeah, support Paul by not buying anything
I
today.
bought a sandwich earlier.
Or you could buy things, but buy them for us.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Buy us things.
Mm-hmm. So next week, it would be my turn, but I'm choosing to sacrifice my turn because we are going to have a guest suggestion instead.
Oh.
So I'm using my turn to let one of our regular listeners choose an episode. So our good friends at Blockbusters have suggested that we do a film called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I've not seen that. It's been on my list for a good while.
Mm-hmm. So join us next week. We will be pitching sequels to The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And until then, it's goodbye from me.
And bye from me.
And bye from you, Paul.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Bye.